to show up on my screen.
It's live.
Is it live?
We are live.
I'm still. Oh, here we go. I see it now. Mine was still showing off.
It's alive.
It's alive.
It's Igor.
All right. So this is the War Report brought to you by TagMeDate.com. A little bit of a late start and a little bit of a different setup. So here's the deal. Not to get into too much of a personal whatever, but
The weeds, as Bischoff likes saying.
Yeah, so I was going to set this podcast up because Steve couldn't make it. Steve had to work. I was just going to set it up on my laptop. Backstory. My cats like to chew cables. So they chewed my Apple MacBook Pro power cable like 3-4 months ago, and I bought a new one. That new one is now fucking shredded because I absentmindedly left it out one day. So I left it out and they shredded it so I couldn't go live. I tried to go live from I'm using an iPad. I tried to go live to let everybody in to the iPad and do it that way. And then Ryan tried the same thing on a Microsoft Surface.
Yeah.
So this has been a hell of a ride for the last 45 minutes. But we're here. Amanda is at some fancy dinner.
She's too pinky up.
She's classy. And we're here for some wrestling. So here's the deal. There's almost too much stuff happening in wrestling nowadays. So we have brought back. Oh, I don't even have my. My laptop is broken. I can't play the sound.
Here, let me.
So,
we could postpone that. That's okay.
No, but we can. So
we will edit. You will edit it in post and edit this stuff out.
Yeah, seamless, as they say. So here's the deal. There's too much stuff happening in wrestling nowadays. We need to pare down our discussion topics because we'll sit here and either talk about one thing for an hour or we'll talk about 85,000 things in an hour. So we're bringing back a classic, a gem, an old wooden ship called the Freedman Five. For those of you who are recent listeners and maybe not know what the Freedman Five is, spoiler alert, Eric is a member of the tribe, and he would do a top five, like our buddy King Kong Bundy, and we would use the 3 ain't enough, I got 5 biggie thing, but I would also have King Kong Bundy saying something about 5 counts before it. So it was really cool, but now we don't have that. So just pretend the sound will be back once I get a power cable for my computer. Anyway, what are who wants to go over the 5 topics? We'll only have Eric. It would only be appropriate if you have them in front of you to read out what our 5 topics are.
Yeah.
It's in the chat. Spoiler.
Oh yeah, it's in the group chat.
Let me I gotta go back.
You have to.
You gotta go back, Marty. We gotta go back.
Past the picture of the dog with the slice of bread around its face, saying it's pure bread. Pure bread. Ryan sent that.
Because the dog's pure and it's
and he got bread on his head. Anyway,
sorry, no Jack joke.
The link is there. No, I appreciate it. So the link is there, which will have the 5. And if he can't find it, I'll read them off for him. But I feel like
it's not.
All right, so
there's too much stuff.
The 1 is the Raw Men's Money in the Bank. 2 is where's the number 2? I know it's.
I would read it word for word. It's abridged.
Yeah, right. It's not abridged. No.
No, I mean it's abridged. It's just kind of talking points.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see how it's split up now because reading is both fun and educational. So we got Raw.
It is educational.
So we have the Men and Women's Money in the Bank. That's part of Raw. The SmackDown preview, because Kevin Owens, despite us all wanting this to stretch out a little bit longer,
Yeah,
turned heel on the New Day just 2 weeks after joining them.
I wanted a little bit more of the Big O.
Yeah, I know that was a pretty good shtick, and you knew the heel turn was coming. Anyway, we'll get to that. Becky Lynch versus Bayley is tonight. The SmackDown Money in the Bank participants will be announced for men and women. So that SmackDown was 2, Raw was 1, SmackDown was 2. 3 is Kurt Angle signing a new 5-year deal with the WWE to be a producer. It's probably the best place for him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Raw third hour viewer count under $2 million. Leo Rush removed from the main roster.
No, under 2 million viewers.
Potpourri for number 3. We'll call that potpourri.
Potpourri.
Number 4 is the app updates
If we have any.
If we have some. And 5 will be questions. If again we had any questions submitted to hashtag Ask the War Report or AskTheWarReport@gmail.com. But let's get right to it. Last night was Monday Night Raw. We have the men's Money in the Bank for Raw. Those participants announced, and the women's participants announced, and the Viking whatever fill in the blank, the Viking Mad Libs.
They kept their names.
Name every week at this point. They're destroying everybody, which is nice to see. I think Baron Corbin wrestled again, and a little piece of my soul left my body, just like everything.
I try not to think about it.
Yeah, I know. If you feel less like a person, I imagine it's like what happens when you murder somebody. That feeling that you feel less of a person. Whenever I watch Baron Corbin wrestle, like cereal doesn't taste as good. The sun doesn't shine as bright. Colors don't seem like it seems gray. Everything's
all
gray.
The happiness in the world goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Like I see a mist creep in all the time, like Silent Hill, and it's just Corbin and his fucking waist.
The Dementors in Harry Potter.
Yes, the worst part was the Dementors. Prison Mike going in on fucking Baron Corbin. Anyway, Raw I caught an hour and a half, 2 hours because I work a 12-hour shift and want to kill myself.
They're rough.
Those may or may not be related statements, but anyway, yeah, I caught some Raw. Raw wasn't bad. Alexa Bliss had a lot of screen time, which I'll never disagree with.
She announced both participants, men and women.
Yeah, they had a fun little segment at the beginning of the show.
The 4th participant is me, of course.
That was wonderful. She was great.
Who didn't expect it?
She did set it up quite nicely.
Yeah, everything, they used this moment of bliss thing very well because she was injured, so they came up with this. And while not, I mean, she was a talker to an extent, but I feel like this was really the moment of bliss thing really helped her express herself more.
Yeah,
become more of a character.
I gotta see that moment at WrestleMania with Hogan and her was just awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you said awful, we were gonna have some issues.
Alexa posing was just like that was sweet,
brother. Yeah, she got a huge moment, and then as soon as that happened, the fucking Brock Lesnar came out and they started the Universal Championship match.
Heyman came out first.
Yes, during while Hogan's music was still playing, made a beeline to the ring.
I know that was my favorite thing about it was Hulk was just looking at it like, brother.
Okay,
is Heyman gonna roll me up, brother? Gotta get my heat back.
Can't do it, brother. Back's gone. Yeah, I like Alexa Bliss in this role.
She fits
Steve's
it.
favorite Dana Brooke is involved.
Oh.
I like how nobody likes her. I've become a fan just because nobody likes her. And
is nobody else available? Like on Raw?
She talks like she says the word library instead of library.
Yeah.
Or acts instead of
or she's frustrated.
Yeah, she's frustrated. Yeah, she talks like a 12-year-old girl from the Valley. But hey,
surprised that her birthday falls on the day she was born.
Oh, was that today? We're just bad people. This is why the podcast should only be 25 minutes. We're just horrible people.
We are quite horrible people.
What was the main event of Raw?
It was the contract signing with AJ and
how did that go?
I missed that. Yeah,
classic. breakdown.
Somebody went through a table, whatever.
Yeah.
I heard there was a table involved.
Mm. And what about no Brock appearances, huh?
Nope.
No Heyman appearance?
Nope.
Very interesting.
I'm okay with that.
It's
honestly.
weird seeing them be
Yeah, no,
so
I'm
quiet with
okay
the
with it.
thought.
Yeah.
Probably after Money in the Bank, however
Yeah.
that shakes out.
To build up to SummerSlam, or no, I'm sorry, to Stomping Ground.
No, the Saudi Arabia.
Oh, right.
That's in between.
The greatest Royal Turban, or whatever the fucking show is.
Whatever they call it this year.
Yeah. Oh,
They're,
is this a year? Officially a year since we had the greatest Royal Rumble?
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I think so, because right after
April.
WrestleMania. They announced it like the day of WrestleMania, and then they announced that Brock was staying on, and then
I think it was Brock re-signed, then they announced the
yeah. Well,
And then
either
they
way, you
didn't-
knew-
27th. We're past it.
okay.
And then they didn't give Roman his moment until fucking SummerSlam.
Yeah. That whole thing was kind of wacky.
All of it was wacky.
Oh,
The
yeah.
nonsensical Braun Strowman heel turn, which fucked up Money in the Bank. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like they wanted to get somebody over, but they didn't want to have Brock put him over. But Braun wasn't going to be over unless Brock put him over. Like, to make a star, you have to put somebody over. That's just the bottom line. And as soon as they didn't,
They put Braun in a holding pattern for the past
I'm
3 years.
surprised Braun put Seth over huge
Yeah.
in Mania.
Mm-hmm. That was really surprising considering.
And again, I wish I could care about the Universal title, but but Seth Rollins is awesome. So, and Rollins versus AJ is going to be
I was
great.
just gonna say this should help Rollins versus AJ. That whole
Definitely.
idea.
And possible Money in the Bank cash-in floating in. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be Corbin.
We don't.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Ryan!
I'm just saying my deep fear. This is where we come and unleash our fears.
And Steve had said,
It's a safe space. You're right.
Steve
It
had
is a
said,
very safe space. For us, not anybody else. Go on, Eric. Sorry.
That was just experience.
Steve
I've
said,
that once happen.
Steve said McIntyre on the Raw side would be, so far.
That'd be solid. I'd be okay with that.
We'll learn the
That'd be a
SmackDown
good pick.
tonight. Ricochet is going to do some awesome shit in it.
He's probably going to steal the show.
He's gonna get backstage, and Vince is gonna go, "Shelton, you did a great job."
And I heard they put Andrade back on SmackDown after going to Raw for a second.
1 week.
Yeah, for the Hispanic demographic.
I think it was the Flair demographic.
Woo!
Mm.
Broad has bigger biceps than I have a body.
Yeah.
And there are those rumors about SmackDown possibly going to 3 hours, which I would.
That'd be awful.
All right,
That would be awful.
like most of the world this past week, Thursday night I saw the Avengers, and I know this. I'm in the Northeast. It's a limited release thing. We saw it early. On Sunday,
it's a very indie film. Nobody's seen it.
right? So Avengers Endgame was Thursday night. Game of Thrones was Sunday night. Game of Thrones was 82 minutes long when the average episode is like 55, 60 minutes. It's the longest episode in Game of Thrones history. It's 82 minutes. That felt long. I enjoyed it. Felt long. If every Game of Thrones episode was 82 minutes, I'd watch a lot less Game of Thrones. It's a lot more digestible at an hour. But they're coming up towards the finale and they need to make these episodes count. I understand that. I'm getting to a point. Thursday night, I watched the Avengers Endgame. That was a 3+ hour movie. It felt like a 3+ hour movie. I enjoyed it. I liked watching it. But there's a point where you're sitting there and you're like, I've been in this seat in a movie theater for 3 hours. Now take that feeling and experience it every fucking Monday. And then add in experiencing it every Friday with SmackDown or whatever goddamn day SmackDown's going to be on Fox. Of just shoot me in the head, this is too long.
Yeah.
there's a sweet spot. Wrestling, for everyone in the world, their tolerance for wrestling is about 2 hours, maybe 90 minutes. But 2 hours.
Hours is a very sweet spot.
Yeah, because at
Like
3,
NXT every week.
at 3 hours, what I mean is like in a row.
Yeah.
Like in a day, I could watch multiple wrestling matches or multiple wrestling events, or even in a week. Like Monday night, I could watch something. Tuesday night, I could watch something. But guess what? It ain't gonna be 3 straight hours of Raw.
I did Mania once every week. And I didn't get burned out.
Yeah, no, I've done that for Mania, not this year, but I've done it in the past. And then in the past, I've also done the Rumbles. The Rumbles are fun.
Yeah.
But it's
an every week thing for 3 hours is rough.
Right, and it's because it comes on at the same time. And I know we've got DVRs and all this stuff now. We live in the future, but it's appointment television. If you don't watch Raw live, it's spoiled for you as soon as it's done. Yeah,
as it's happening, it's getting spoiled.
Right. So you want to watch, but at the same time, do you want to invest the 3 hours? So you watch what you can. I mean, we bitch about this every week, but if SmackDown goes to 3 hours, that's just going to be such a bummer.
Viewership will tank, like it's already tanking.
100%.
Let
the
me
whole reason they brought it is for ratings.
Let me pose this question: If that somehow is not true, and if somehow Raw had gone back to 2 hours, would you guys do it at an 8 to 10 or a 9 to 11?
I'd go 9 to 11. Classic.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Maybe
Some
if
people like to go
SmackDown,
to bed.
yeah, okay. If both shows were 2 hours, I would do Monday nights 9 to 11, and then SmackDown would stay 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And aim the SmackDown show at children and families, and then aim Raw at the more adult demographic. And not that you have to go back to TV 14, but it would certainly give you some fucking leeway.
You really don't need 14. I mean, early 97, before they went 14, they had some pretty... It was entertaining without going overboard.
A compromise where you have a 2 hour Raw, but you have like a Raw recap like they used to do, and then SmackDown is 2 hours, and they do bring back the Talking Smack. I actually enjoy Talking.
Yeah, right, and that's the thing.
That's what made me miss
Talking Smack being the third hour of SmackDown. Absolutely no problem with it, because then it's not wrestling content. It's like a talk show. It breaks it up. You can have
it's something different.
Yeah, right. It's more like watching a baseball game or a football game and then watching the post-game show afterward.
Kind of like Tuesday Night Titans.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
That would be wonderful
for those Mets fans.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad Leo Rush is in trouble with The Office, or they could do like a Tuesday Night Titans with Leo Rush and somebody else hosting the show, like
Abraham Washington.
Oh, I remember about that time. I had a girl. She wanted my shoes step on my face.
That's right, Tony. Get it.
Fucking Tony Atlas. He's the man. I have no bad things to say about Tony Atlas.
It's hard to say bad things about him.
He did his laugh at when I was at WrestleCon. I overheard it. I was like, that's awesome.
Right? I have nothing bad to say about Tony Atlas. Anyway, so SmackDown would be a big bummer going to 3 hours. Keep it at 2 hours, please, for the love of God. The ironic thing is that Vince McMahon wants to take the XFL and figure out a way to make the NFL games or football in general play quicker, so the game doesn't last as long.
And then he's expanding his
right, and yet he wants
product.
to make all of his shit as long as possible. Potpourri, I guess we're already there since we talked about Raw. We talked about SmackDown being 3 hours. Sorry, we're kind of blowing through this stuff. Like I said, some unexpected technical things happen, and we just want to get it all in. That's what she said. Kurt Angle signed a new 5-year deal. Producer, yes, I agree. That's wonderful. Hopefully, because I know when you watch him cut a promo and speak and all that, it seems like, I don't want to say he's not all there, but it certainly feels like he's lost a step. And hopefully he still has the sharpness of mind to put together good matches and segments, and to also be able to relay whatever he has. Because like a Stephen Hawking situation. Stephen Hawking had these fucking brilliant ideas, but he had such a shitty way to get them out with this computer that he had to control with the twitch of his eye. And I'm not saying that Kurt Angle is a vegetable. He's definitely not. But
those computers are quite difficult to navigate.
Oh yeah, it's so sensitive. But that's what I'm saying. Like his delivery now is so labored when he speaks. I hope that he is able to be clear enough to the wrestlers that he's producing that they understand him. Because I think if they do, then he's got a very long tenure there, similar to Dean Malenko, who just left, or an Arn Anderson who just left or got fired or something.
Bruce Pritchard's back.
Yeah, doot. He's back. Rumor and innuendo is that, so here's a random potpourri since we're in the potpourri. WWE pulled The Undertaker and Kurt Angle from StarCast 2 before Double or Nothing this May. In exchange, the WWE has decided to let them screen Bret Hart versus Tom fucking McGee. The match that everybody's been dying to see for the last 30 years. And I know it's not going to be a good match. Well, maybe it will be.
No.
It'll be Bret will be good. And
Bret's always good.
But this will be it will be supremely interesting because some girl on Twitter was taking Bret Hart's tape library and digitizing it. And one of the matches that was on the VHS was that match between Bret Hart and Tom McGee. And then she didn't want to release the match because she didn't want the copyright strike. Listen, you put it out. I would have just put it out on a torrent from some spoofed account on a fucking VPN, and then people download the torrent, and it's not you, it's just some torrent floating in the ether. That's how this shit works.
Or you grab a thumb drive, create a random account, upload it on YouTube, done.
Yeah, and even if it gets copyright strike, guess what? Somebody else pulled that video, and then it will be shared other places. Because as soon as it gets pulled from YouTube, it goes to Daily Motion or StreamMate.
Pornhub.
What?
They've been jumping in on this.
Who, Bullet Club?
No, Pornhub.
Oh, Pornhub, yes. Oh, it would just have to have a different name.
Yeah.
It would be like burly Canadian fucks curly-headed shirtless man. I don't know. And then
you probably nailed it right there.
Yeah.
Revival shave each other's backs.
What the fuck was that about? Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot that happened. Wow. Just wow.
To quote Pritchard, rumor and innuendo says that it was to punish, but why would you be punishing talent that you want to re-sign?
Right.
Was there a contract?
Good.
Like more money, but you have to do stupid shit?
They offered him $500,000 a year each for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which really isn't bad, but here's my problem. I'm a forward-thinking person, and you guys are Jews, so you'll understand this. I wouldn't want a flat $500,000 every year. I would want a cost of living increase, like $500,000, and the next year is like $550 or whatever, and then
525, $550.
Exactly, some kind of percentage or whatever increase every year, rather than just knowing what you're going to make every year. I don't know. I would have liked something different, but they're probably very firm on those contracts. So I don't know. Now they've got them shaving each other's back, which means did they re-sign so they're going to humiliate them, or did they choose not to re-sign and they're going to humiliate them?
Which is kind of weird. If they didn't re-sign and you go to humiliate them, why would you stick around if they're humiliating you?
Yeah, maybe to
weird logic.
I mean, it's to fulfill their contract so they don't have to do the 90-day non-compete clause. I don't know. Because look at what happened with Luke Harper. He requested his release, and they said, no, we're going to keep you longer because fuck you.
Pretty much.
They're like, hey, remember that time you spent injured? We're going to tack it on to the end of your contract and keep you wrapped up so you can't go anywhere for a long time.
And take that feud away.
Yeah, who was it with?
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
It'd been something.
Because Luke Harper can wrestle. Like,
oh yeah,
that's the thing. He's
I'm sad that he's gone.
Yeah, I mean the worst part is now he's not just he's just not going to show up. He's just not going to be on anything. I used to watch him in like Ring of Honor, and so I've seen him wrestle live in like tiny little gyms.
It's a shame with what the Wyatt family could have been.
All they needed to do, like I'm a fucking genius, but hear me out here. Back like 4 years ago, they liked coming up with all these titles and championships and whatever the fuck. And they didn't come up with 6-man titles. They had the Shield, the Wyatts, and the New Day, and the Usos threw another fucking Samoan with them.
And 3MB.
Right, yeah. 3MB. You could have had the Revival with goddamn Buddy Murphy. I don't know. You make 3-man teams. You have the Vaudevillains and Rusev, and they try and make Rusev into a Vaudevillain.
Strongman.
Yes. Strongman. That would be cool.
Yeah, see?
Enzo and Cass and Leo Rush, the Heat Seekers. You could, but I'm saying you had all these 3-man teams. You could have came with 6-man championships,
or have everybody do Freebird. That way you have no idea how.
Right, or officially recognize the Freebird across, not just when people. It's convenient, just all the time. I don't know.
Not when it's just New Day.
Right, and we missed out on the Shield Wyatt Survivor Series. I don't think we ever got a New Day Wyatt Survivor Series. We got them in that ripoff of the Tag Team Apocalypto, or the deletion match, and that was about it. Like, they're gonna look back and realize they missed out, especially with Big E's out with an injury, Dino's gone, Roman had cancer for a while. Like, the Wyatt family's dismantled. And the Shield is dismantled, and right now the New Day is dismantled. So they had a lot of opportunity to do some things with those factions, and I just think Vince doesn't like factions.
It seems like it.
But then he had gang warfare 20 years ago. Los Boricuas, DOA. Who was the other one?
Nation, Heart Foundation, DX.
Yep. Heart Foundation, fucking DX. It was all factions.
Truth Commission.
Oh, wow.
There were some bad ones too, but it was awesome because they were all like, Yeah,
and I liked that. It gave you something else to fight for other than a title, because there would always be, even in WCW, when you had the NWO against everybody else. If Hogan had the title or whoever had the title, you always had a couple NWO guys go against the Four Horsemen. Or if the Four Horsemen were wrapped up with somebody else, they'd go against the goddamn Dungeon of Doom or the Harlem Heat.
Or a WCW faction.
Right, or just the WCW faction in general, because it was WCW versus NWO. Like, there was a lot of ground to cover when you included these things, and they don't do that for the undercard anymore. They just
with the Shield, it was a cohesive unit. Everybody had a part.
Yeah.
Like Romans didn't have missing parts with Seth and Dean.
Exactly. Yes, and that's very true. The things that were holding back, or may still hold back, Roman Reigns in the talking department and the I don't know, the intangibles. He's got it, and he's very athletic. But then you look at Dean and Seth, and they've got more it than him. I don't know what to tell you.
Roman was the perfect muscle.
He was, and that's the thing. Then they started making him talk, and it just got worse from there.
And the Superman punch.
What is the end game for this Bray Wyatt thing? Like, you think it's got to lead to something somewhere, and there's rumors that, like, oh, well, one of the puppets is Nikki Cross, the other is Eric Young, and then maybe they could add another one, maybe a new Wyatt family kind of thing.
It doesn't seem likely right now. It seems like there's some kind of plot going on. I feel like
I don't quite get it still yet. I don't really understand it. I'm not. I'm a little on board, but not all the way.
I like that it's dark.
I just don't like. I just think puppets are stupid.
We have to send some links through the group chat for "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" and "Too Many Cooks" and a couple of those other Adult Swim things.
Yeah.
So we'll send them through to give people a picture. But here's what I'm picturing, and you're asking how it ends. It seems like we're going to reveal that Bray Wyatt is either medicated or hallucinating in some sort of mental hospital. The woman puppet Abigail is like the nurse, and then the other puppets are other patients, and he's hallucinating. You know, because if you look at it, she's saying all this stuff about the bad things that he's done, and he's acknowledged it. And then the word of the day was sociopath. And when he was painting, you thought he was painting a vase full of roses or a vase full of roses, and it was a fucking house fire from when Randy burned his house down. So there's more there. There's definitely more there than just this kind of surface level stuff. So,
God damn, that picture you painted is fucking awesome.
And if it happens, that would be wonderful. Unfortunately, we've learned how many times we paint these lovely pictures and never comes out on TV. So we shall see. Did we want to get anything else in? I know it's 10 after.
SmackDown is live.
SmackDown's been running for 10 minutes. Eric's got to bounce. It is both his dad's birthday and his dad's retirement, so big day all around. Congratulations, Mr.
Tell him
Freeman.
congrats from us.
Mazel tov and all that.
It's a birthday. Yes, it is.
It's a birthday. Absolutely. So he's going to go out and celebrate with the Friedman fam. They're going to have a Friedman fam birthday bash. Lots of alliteration. So you have fun with that. We didn't get to the questions because Amanda was at some fancy schmancy dinner and Kat was with her children. Imagine that. A mom being a mom. How dare she? And
if you took a, what was it? Chris from Oklahoma, we're just not good family.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're not. Yeah, that whatever her name was from wherever she was from. Anyway, submit your questions to askthewarreport@gmail.com or hashtag askthewarreport and tag us on social media at tagmeadate, Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Tag me a date, no spaces. It's all one word. Tag me a date. It's also tagmeadate.com. It's free to sign up, free to send messages and chat and match and search and all the other dating site stuff. It's free. There's an iPhone app. There's an Android Google Play Store app. However whichever way you swing, baby, we got you covered. So whether it's the desktop or the Android or the Apple iOS, whatever, we got you covered. Tagmeadate.com, tagmeadate social media, tagmeadate on YouTube, where you should subscribe. Now, you need a certain number of subscribers before you can get a URL on YouTube. And that's kind of shitty because when you first signed up with YouTube years ago, you could just pick your URL and they'd give it to you for your username. Not the case anymore. So you can't just go to youtube.com/tagmeadate yet. If you want to help us accomplish that, you go to youtube.com, you type tag me a date in the search bar. No spaces, all one word. Tag me a date. You go to our channel, you hit subscribe, and you hit the bell to get notifications for when we go live or upload a new video. Once we get to, I think it's 1,000 subscribers, we can get our URL. Anyway, that's kind of important. Subscribe to Tag Me a Date on YouTube. You can go through our videos and our backlog of stuff. And we're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so adjust your clocks accordingly. Unless, of course, my cat chews through another iPhone or Apple MacBook Pro cable and the show tanks because the cat chewed the cable. Anyway, I'm not still mad about that 2 hours later. You should check us out next week on the Tag Me a Date YouTube channel. And like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern time for another edition of Tag Me a Date. Or excuse me, another edition of the War Report podcast brought to you by tagmeadate.com. It's free, Android and Apple. We'll see you next week.